Hey man, how's it going? I don't know how much you know about the one-hand stuff. I know you do a little bit, so I'm going to start with the assumption that you already know the forward weave, right? And we'll go from there. So, forward weave with both hands, that's the first thing. And then getting them going. If you've ever done double staff, it's kind of similar. You can do like the timing and directions variations. So it's like 2 forward weaves. And then this version is both hands are moving left and right at the same time. And then you can take, and just like a single staff, you can practice on 1 beat, which is just, I'll name it this, 2 beat where it's going left and right. You can spin it so one stays on your thumb side and one stays on your pinky side. And that's a good thing to drill just because it'll help hold control with your pinky, which in a minute will be very necessary for all the reverse stuff. So if you can get a 1 beat in there, you can switch from this to a 1 beat with 1, and you can have both in and both out. So those are kind of like the buzzsaw variations. There's double 1 beats, and then pinky swing. So then the next thing would be to learn that in reverse. So the reverse is pinky is what leads. Right, so with the forward beat, you can kind of just lead with your thumb, and the pinky follows, and it's just a matter of cleaning it up, you know. With reverse, you kind of have to fling. It's like the way Sam described it to me was the bicycle brake idea. Like if you're holding it and you grip the brake, you know, slowing down on a bike, you could use that to push a little momentum into that pinky tether. Right. And that's like the key thing for getting the reverse to go. Like when your hand is scooping across here, you can push with that bicycle brake technique, right? And that throws the momentum over. And then it kind of, same thing, grip, and you're coming up this side with the pinky. And if you just focus on that side, the thumb side will flop around for a bit, but you'll kind of start to get it. And then it's just a matter of dialing it in, cleaning it up, right? Getting used to having it going. And with your body at it all the different ways. And then you have 2 variables, both from left and right at the same time. And then both in the middle and outside at the same time. And once you have those, you can practice turning. Turning, for me, to try to like, I still have a hard time with in-spin flowers. So if you try to do like the in-spin flower technique and scoop across the bottom, you can do it, and I encourage you to just practice the hell out of it. And then you can scoop across the top. So across the bottom is the bicycle brake pinky thing. Use that to flank it up to this side. And then on the way back, the pinky will kind of down stall, and the thumb side will float over. So scoop, so slow, and down stall for your pinky. You know, that's what I'm thinking about. So I found it much easier to just bring my hand in a straight line. So you'll get this thing, if I'm going forward, the pinky will still scoop in the same way, but it almost can pendulum, and then your thumb side will come straight to here, and whoop, then you'll go right into reverse. Going from reverse to forward is much easier. Your thumb will scoop across the top, and the pinky side will kind of downstall right there. Right. And then it'll go into forward. For some reason, that's much easier for me, so hopefully it's easier for you too. Or hopefully you can get the in-spin flower, and I hope that's cake, because I'm still working on it. So it's like upstall, pinky side, scoop, right, like that. And then now it's downstall, thumb side, scoop, right, like that. So you can use that to switch sides. Now with 2 boy, you can do 1 across, and they're both forward, both back at the same time. And you can do the 1 beat thing to make them 1 forward and 1 back. But for right now, just do both forward, both back. And then the other hand will scoop across. Like that. So you can practice moving between those and then turning in both directions. And what's cool is by learning both directions, you're learning both directions with your hands. So that means all this stuff should be pretty easy. It's all the same variables, but they're moving in different directions. So scoop across. I have both on my left, both on my right, or both in the middle, both on the outside. Turn in both directions, all that stuff. And then you could turn those scoops across into in-spin flowers and anti-spin flowers. Anti-spin flowers are actually much easier, and they were easier for me to get. But the idea is your 2V weave, as it comes to the side, your thumb will point up, and the pinky will kind of pendulum across up here. It's the same kind of motion as this, but you're just kind of lifting it up, right? And then your downstall happens real low, and for bringing it down, I feel like it slings the momentum of your pinky over easier. So doing an anti-spin, it's the same as doing the across like this, but there's less work on the pinky side because momentum is like working with you, you know. So there's your anti-spin. And then so, of course, like everything else, you'll practice in both directions and with both hands. And if any of this is difficult, you know, practice with one hand at a time. I mean, just doing one is really fun by itself. And there's a bunch of crazy stuff, little diversion. But back in the day, there was this pulley juggling technique called wibbles, where you'd lose like the weight of the handle and let it drape. And so you could do wibble style tricks and like big Leary style stuff with the, you know, you can get creative. So that's like a whole different realm of stuff to explore. So basically all the versions of anti-spin flowers are open to you now, right? So you have one, try the layout style. This is how I first drilled them when I was like getting the flowers down, but just choose in or out or whatever. Anti-spin across, anti-spin back, anti-spin across, anti-spin back, anti-spin across, turn your body, anti-spin across this way, and then back. And so you can practice all of that. Once those are, oh, okay, and then we'll talk about stalls now. We'll throw that in. So for me, the stall going outward was pretty intuitive, right? I mean, when I say stall, I mean spiral wrap. That's where we're going. So I just pinch it with my fingers. Blink. Is that the easy one? No, okay, I'm sorry. So moving forward, or the pulley rotating outward, was the unintuitive one for me. So I'll show you the easy one first. So if the pulley is moving in, or in reverse, I guess, it's just you open it up. I pinch right here, and the tether lengths just work, you know, and so they'll bounce and come right out of it. For the other side, if you pinch right there, the bottom tether ends up being way too long, and so it might be intuitive to some people, but it took me forever to figure out. You pinch with your pinky side, and that'll make the tether length of that bottom like short enough to actually bounce where it needs to. And then there's not a whole lot going on for it to catch with the thumb side, so you kind of have to punch your hand forward to get it into the spiral. So the forward, pinch with the thumb side, and then bring it out into reverse. And then this was the easy one. See, I've got cleaning up to do on that. Eventually, I want to be able to do this with both. I know it'll look cool because I've seen people do it. So that's a cool way to switch, you know, so if you're in this one, spiral, now we're in the same direction. And the flower drills apply in this direction too. And you spin around. I should really be, you know, drilling my in-spin flowers, but I don't. Eventually I will. So then the next thing, to move into the butterfly stuff, I want to move into it, transition that way a little. Well, first we'll go to horizontal, right? So you can do, there's going to be something that's intuitive to you about these. It's either this one, spinning out, or spinning in, or doing the one beat. One of those is going to feel easy. Start there, you know. And so if it's a one beat, spinning from my outside to forward, I have my thumb on top. I can put my thumb on the bottom and then back to top, get the two beat. And I also recommend drilling this. It seems ridiculous, but it'll help like gain flexibility in your wrist, which will be useful, and some of that pinky control. And that's just a one beat turned upside down. And then do all that stuff, the one beat, and then the two beat, and then the upside down two beat. I recommend getting those with both hands, because once you get those, there's pretty easily accessible and kind of cool looking patterns, right? So it's like split time. Just this looks cool. This is a one beat. You can bounce it a little bit. Now I'm in atomics, right? Or your two beats. Depending, you could do them really tight, or you can lift them up and down and move them around like that. Spirals are pretty easy in the horizontal. Oh, I say as I mess them up. But then there's the forward version, the one beats, and the atom. And you can tip it and get this plus size atom. Plus size, plus sign atom. All right, and this is where all of your Supermans come from. And if you tip to this X, that's where all the, like the X-Men family stuff comes from. Oh my goodness. This one. All those. It's all the same bounce concept, just with different bouncing parts. Arms, legs. Darn it, dude. Arms, legs, leg, arm, leg, combos and stuff. And then I'm assuming that you know the Superman, because that's another pretty popular two-poi one hand thing. But just in case you don't, the idea is focus on the two beat with your thumb side and just a wide two beat, you know. You can move a two beat back and forth across your body just normally. So focus doing that with the thumb side. And if you can get the poi to bounce, you'll be able to just bounce it back and forth. You can do it anywhere. And you can do it with one leg, torso, shoulders, shoulder. Same kind of thing, just be creative how you bounce it. You can mix and match all this stuff. And all that becomes cool looking when you have two going, you know. Crazy atomic plus sign. This, here, I'll show you this one. This is the move I saw that got me into floor poi years ago on Facebook. But it was some dude in a mask with glow sticks doing this. Oh, and then I failed. This one. It looks so cool to me. That's just Superman's crossing. You can hold that on the side, do one. You can do the split time. Bring them together into this crazy atom. Atom there. And this is like Fantastic Four. And there's tutorials and stuff for all that. But what's cool is using that idea of this horizontal, right? You can go right into your Fantastic Four from it, or come out of it into your horizontal. And so you can transition between moves, considering this horizontal as bouncing, kind of a weirdly bent butterfly, or opposites. So that puts us in opposites country now. Opposites country is just the butterfly thing. This, to me, is the most rewarding visually of the double Meteor stuff, because all the gunslinger stuff, that's all pretty much staff stuff. You know, a staff can do most of these moves. So I really want to learn a bunch of moves in the butterfly version, but it's proven the most difficult for me. But you can think of it essentially as a hands together cap in both hands, right? There's capping across the top, across the bottom. This bit's kind of wonky, like when you have the butterfly version. See, basically an atom, right? And then you just tighten it to get up and down, but I can't ever make them just totally vertical. So it's like getting one in between your body and the other one. It's like, takes a little bit of work. Well, let me say, it took a little bit of work for me, you know, but to do the flowery things, right? You gotta want to get them in there. So that's something that I was stubborn about and didn't practice until recently. And I think those moves look really cool. Like, I love the way that looks. Just took me a long time to be able to do it. Another important drill is these pendulum drills. These things are awesome for like switching direction and try to like thumb side in front, pinky side in front, all that. And try to get good at it, you know, with both hands at the same time, because ultimately that's what we're aiming for, right? And then from there you can do the stall transfer things. I have yet to incorporate those into my flow effectively, but I think they look awesome. So there's all that stuff. The atomic thing. Atomic is like interesting because it's just halfway between this, and then if you take the bottom and you keep bending it, eventually it's like you're back in. I could do it easier starting here, but start with the one beat, bend it, boom, now you're in atomics, keep bending it, and then now you're in opposite direction. So it's all like a spectrum. And so sometimes it's helpful to think of atomics as going in the same direction, just depending on what you're working on, you know, and then sometimes it's easier to change your perspective on them, think of it as opposite direction. But with atomics, like you'll see, we'll go to here, right? Boom. My thumb is on the outside. I can only really go so far until it won't work because my body's in the way, and if I bring my tether to this side, it'll tangle. So I'm kind of limited by the way they mesh. So that's why with the Superman, you bounce, and it changes it. So now my thumb can be on the outside. I can bring my thumb to this side, but in order to do that, I have to bring the bottom horizontal one has to be spinning on the top. And it's insanely difficult. So theoretically, you can do like weaves with atoms. You know, it's easier with the diagonal ones because they're diagonal, so that gives you a place to put your arms. You know, but then it just looks like a horizontal kind of helical thing. But as far as moves go, it's just taking one part, you know, taking, let's say, an atom, and then now you have another one, figuring out the timing and direction. Let's do split time because I think it looks cooler. And then come up with a thing, right? So this head wrap thing. This thumb side does like an anti-spin, and then the pinky just extends around the body, right? The anti-spin pedal up, the downward pedal's behind my head. Let's do it that way. Oops. And then we'll repeat it on the other side. And then we'll just kind of bounce that back and forth. And now we have a cool pattern. And that's about where I am with these. I'm putting patterns together with the bits I know yet. There's like flow bender style shit, and that's all going to be Samwise. He has a lot of content up. Some of it's on Instagram, some of it's on YouTube, but it's worth going through all of it, you know. And if there's, I just ranted for a long time, which I kind of knew I would do. But if there's something that I did not say clearly, or if you have more interest in, and I didn't cover anything, you know, I don't know about it, or I just glossed over it. So, you know, just communicate with me, and if I can make a better follow-up video, I will. But I hope this at least gives you some enthusiasm getting started, because number one, we're not dealing with fire, we're dealing with light, so there's no wrong moves, you know what I mean? And you can bend and flop, and they're 3D, and then you can think of them as 2D if you want, if it helps, you know. You don't just flinging 4 lights around any random way, you know, with some kind of control and not clicking them together all the time, ooh, like that, you know. But it doesn't take much to look awesome and be really creative, because like there's a lot of potential with these, and you know, a lot of it's untapped. So I can't wait to see what you do with yours. I can't wait to get lights in mine. It's cool that other people are starting to get on this, because the more people that spin for, the more ideas that we get to feedback to each other. Well, you know, right on, man. I'll chat with you soon.